Welcome everyone to our latest edition of Facebook Live. We're going to get started in just a moment. My name is Father Nolan, and so it's great that you could join us here on our information night. We're going to get started in just a moment, but hold on one second as we get ready for our evening. All right. Well, it is great that you could all join us tonight. We're going to start off by having a little highlights from our previous conversation. Our conversation tonight is about athletics, but our previous conversation a couple of weeks ago was about educating boys. So I'm going to just show you some highlights of that education, of that particular conversation. We're going to talk about educating boys and what's kind of the special recipe here at BC High.
Well, we have a great group of teachers and staff at BC High, and in particular in the Arrupe division, who just like working with middle school boys and love the challenge of trying to figure out how to connect with each individual. They come to school with a tremendous amount of energy, excitement about learning, excitement about being in school. Not every day, not every moment of the day.
The energy that you mentioned, and really a culture of learning and joy that the boys bring into the classroom. And so there's this duality of this real enthusiasm for being in a space and also as partnered with some real academic rigor. I love the size of Arrupe because I do feel like we have enough students that we can offer some really great programming, but we have few enough students that we get to know them for who they are and what their individual interests are.
We want them to laugh, to win, to lose, to be serious or silly, but mostly to make friends and to learn a little bit about themselves.
All right. Well, it was great to learn a little bit more about educating boys. If you'd like to watch that entire video, you can see it on our Facebook page for BC High. But tonight, we're going to speak about athletics, and we're going to speak for the first half hour until 8 p.m. about athletics in Arrupe, our middle school, our 7th and 8th grade. So my name is Father Nolan. I work in the enrollment office, and I'd like to introduce tonight's guests. We're going to start off with our assistant athletic director, Tom Conley, of the class of 2008. So Tom, welcome to this show, and we'll just have you come on in just a minute. Here we go.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Nolan, Father Nolan. Tom Conley, athletic director, 2008 grad. Am I live, Father?
1 second. Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulty here. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Thanks
ahead.
for having me, Father Nolan. Tom Conley, assistant athletic director, 2008 grad of BC High. It's my second year as assistant athletic director. I played football and baseball while I was here at BC High. I just missed the Arrupe, so Arrupe's first year was my senior year of high school. But after BC High, I went on, I played baseball at UMass Amherst, and then really blessed to find my way back here to BC High. I love my time here from the age of really 14 to 18, and hoping to pay back some of what I learned and got out of from BC High while I'm here as assistant AD.
That's awesome. And we have two other guests. This is the first time we're having our current students who are joining us. So a special welcome to Ishan and to Deacon. And so Ishan, maybe you could start off and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Nice to meet you all virtually. My name is Ishan Gishohi. This is my fourth year now attending BCI. I'm a sophomore, and I went to Arrupe as well.
And what sports did you play?
I played basketball and track in Arrupe.
Great. And how about for you, Deacon?
So my name is Deacon Woodgate, and I'm currently a ninth grader at BC High. And I went to both 7th and 8th grade in Arrupe. And while I was there, I played both basketball and tennis.
Awesome. And I'm not going to put you on the spot, Deacon, and ask you who your favorite 7th grade religion teacher was. I mean, we can talk about that at a different time. So thanks all for joining us. We're talking this evening about athletics in Arrupe, and then at 8 o'clock, we'll speak with Mr. Bartlett and a couple other guests to talk about athletics in the high school. So if you have any questions, you can join us and ask any questions in our comment section, and we can get to them. This is really for you, our prospective families, and special welcome to all of our current families and alumni who are joining us. So let's just start off with the wealth of opportunities there are in Arrupe for sports. And maybe you could start us off, Mr. Conley, just sharing about what opportunities might a prospective 7th grader be looking at.
Sure. So in a normal year, we have 3 seasons: fall, winter, and spring. The students are able to play 1 sport per season. They're not required to do any sport per season, but so they can play up to 3 sports. We do have some non-cut sports like cross country, rowing, indoor track, outdoor track, wrestling. So a student could say come out for soccer, which is a cut sport, and they could be cut, but then they could go and join track during that season. So a lot of times kids come in with an idea of what they do want to do. And now for Arrupe, we want to keep as many kids as we can in the program. So kind of for that reason, we have separate 7th and 8th grade teams. So rather than, I'll stay with soccer, rather than keeping 15 kids for 1 middle school team, now we can have double that. And we can have, 30 for 15 7th, 15th, 8th. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for kids to come in. It's a great way to meet friends, build that community that we have here at BC High. And like I said, there's students that have come in thinking that, I'm a hockey guy. I'm definitely playing hockey, and they graduate and they end up playing, running track and absolutely loving it.
Yeah. Tell us about, so Ishan, you were saying that you've been playing basketball for a while, and how was basketball like for you, and then how did you get involved in track?
Yeah, so I played basketball before my time in Arrupe, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely wanted to carry on into when I came into Arrupe. So I tried out for the team, and I made the team, but track was never I never thought I would end up doing track, but my guidance counselor actually suggested it to me and a few of my friends, and I just decided to try something new and kind of go out of my comfort zone. And it ended up being really good for me as I got to make new friends.
Oh, that's awesome. And for Deacon, so you were playing, tell us a little bit about playing basketball. So you were on the 7th grade team, the 8th grade team, and tell us a little bit about what's tennis like too.
So tennis is a little bit of a different sport because it's just individual, and it's 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 basically. So going into tennis, I didn't know anybody else trying out. And I was the only one there I was the only one there, I guess, out of all my friends and everything. So once I made the team, and then once the season started, I really started going out of my comfort zone and trying to meet new people and go. And I met a bunch of new friends who I still talk to today. And yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Deacon, you were telling me about kind of the day in the life of a 7th grader, an 8th grader. And, you had a smile when you're talking about it. I've never seen someone your age have a smile about getting up so early. But why don't you tell us about kind of a day in the life for you when you were maybe in season playing one of those sports?
Yeah, so for basketball is definitely my main sport. So I really like to like get up early and like I love like the process of everything, just like working and trying to get as best as I can get at the sport. So some days in eighth grade and a little bit in seventh grade, but not as much in seventh grade, I would get up early and take the early train into school, the Greenbush line, and I would just get up around like 4:45 or 5 in the morning to just go in and shoot before school, and then I would go in after school to play with some of the high schoolers too.
So when would you get your homework done, Deacon?
So, like, I would say that Arrupe, like, the homework definitely isn't as rigorous as the high school. Like, there's definitely enough time in the day to get it done, even if you're doing that much sports in a day. So I would try to do, like, I would just try and make the later train, and then by the time I got home, it would still only be like 6:30 in the afternoon. And I would only, at max, the most I ever had was like 2 hours of homework, 2.5 hours of homework. So I could just grind that out and get it done.
Yeah, that's where that flex period for Rupe comes in handy, right? In the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You get to make your own choices in terms of clubs, in terms of getting some going to a silent study hall. What, Isha, what were you involved in terms of, in addition to sports, any other clubs in Arrupe?
Yeah, I was involved in BLSU, the Black Latino Student Union, and I also did Chinese Culture Club after school as well when we weren't in season.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And talk about friendships. Ishan, you talked about kind of coming into BC High in Arrupe. How did sports help you make friends?
Yeah, so when I came in to Arrupe, I knew kids in the grade above me, and I really didn't know that many people in my grade. So, like, getting involved with sports and co-curriculars really helped me make friends. For example, like kids on the basketball team, I still play with them on my teams now, and like we're really close even out of school. We'll hang out sometimes and like just talk to each other. So it provided me with that sense of friendship and making new relationships.
Yeah, speaking of the weekends and kind of schedules, Mr. Conley, when you think of the BC High Arrupe Division sports, what is the general schedule? I know a lot of parents will ask, and what's the relationship when you think of being on a town team, for example?
Yep.
And the sports.
And Deacon's been in the weight room quite a bit now too. I don't want him to skip over that. He's been in the weight room quite a bit. But yeah, a typical Arrupe schedule, you're looking really Monday through Friday. Practice every day unless there's a game, usually 1 or 2 games a week. But we really leave that weekend open. So we just ask that, the student athlete just doesn't miss a BC High for an outside event. But like I said, that weekend is wide open for them to, join that club team or that AAU and get more games or practices that they're used to in their town. Usually a practice is right after school, so they can get in, usually like an hour practice, get in, get a ride home, or make that 4 o'clock, 4:08 train.
Oh, that's great. How has it been for you, Deacon, in terms of, you mentioned kind of friendships and it's being an individual sport. Can you think of maybe a friendship that's grown through sports and being in the classroom when you were at Arrupe?
So coming into Arrupe, I only knew like 1 or 2 kids actually. So through sports, I really like met a lot of new people, and it was a really good way to like just kind of get involved more and expand my comfort zone, I guess. So like I had a few classes with this kid named Ryan, and he also played the sports that I did too. So we would just like, we built a bond in the classroom, and then after school too, we built a bond on the basketball court. So yeah, we developed a great friendship through sports as well in the classroom too.
Well, that's pretty neat. When you think of different relationships in sports, certainly think of like great teammates and what does it mean to be a good teammate. And a lot of people will say, you'll have those pillars there in the Cadogan gym where you guys played your 7th and 8th grade basketball games. and it's teamwork and respect and hard work. I'm missing one. Humility. There you go, humility. Isha, you were speaking about kind of how you grew in humility during your time as an Arrupe athlete and then into ninth grade. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So coming in, I went to a small school in Braintree called St. Francis of Assisi, and I thought I was like gonna play. I didn't really like play that much, but like I noticed then it wasn't like really like that like deep because I got to like make new friends and I got to be a part of like something that was bigger than myself and like learn a lot. And like as it went on in 8th grade, I started to play a little bit more, and in 9th grade, like I played a good amount. But then like I really realized that it's like it was much more than basketball. Like the relationships I built, like especially in 9th grade, I had a coach, Mr. Quayle, and he really like looked out for like everyone on the team. Like he used to check in on us and see how we were doing in school and offer like his help and support. So it just shows that like at BCI it really goes bigger than sports.
Oh, that's awesome. Mr. Quayle was on. Well, we just saw some highlights from Mr. Quayle. Yeah, I noticed that it's the same way for him in the classroom, kind of checking back with someone on the bench, in between plays as he is in the classroom in terms of kind of following up with a student who might have missed a question, for example. But that's great. When you think, Mr. Conley, when you think of the different relationships, the coaches, what's different about BCI? I think you mentioned something about your coaches have other roles here.
Right. And I think it's so great when we have the teachers also as a coach and just seeing them with different hats on. I loved it when I was here as a student. Even now my boss, my direct boss, used to be Mr. Bartlett, Coach Bartlett, my freshman football coach, and now it's John. But just seeing him, the way he goes about his business as athletic director and then as my freshman football coach. I had Mr. Travers as a social studies teacher, but he was also a football coach. I think of even teachers that weren't a coach. Mr. Dowling, I had him for chem. I was completely overmatched in chem, but he stuck with me, made sure he asked me about my baseball game as he was giving me extra help in chem. But I just think we try to keep as many teachers here after school. With their demanding schedule, they have a really tough schedule, especially now. But when they stay after school and the bond they get to have with the student athletes is greater than the classroom, right? Like Ishan touched on, they really do care, not so much just about the wins and losses or the stats. They really do care about developing young men. And it's just really great to see, like I said, the different hats and just the way they are. And you find out that they are human. You're right. You see them sometimes in the classroom and you don't even put it together. They have interests outside of whatever they're teaching. So it's a great thing.
That's great. Now, I've been fascinated since March how people set up their backgrounds in their Zoom rooms. And I got to ask, Mr. Conley, what's that talent? It just seems like it just happens to be there right behind you. But
well, I need to do some. I need someone to come in here and help me out because my walls are looks like I'm in a jail cell. So I had to kind of position my computer, get a bookcase in here or something. But yeah, BCI 2008 state champs for baseball. So I have that one hanging up. One of our senior parents made those, and I didn't get rid of that. So it's always, I usually find a way to blend that into a conversation that we won a state title. But that was very nice of you to bring it up.
Well, you can catch me later. You owe me lunch or something. Now, it seems like, you have the towel in the background. I mean, is that a bobblehead of yourself?
Yeah, I got a bobblehead. We got Carlton Fisk.
Okay.
And Louis Tiant, another bobblehead. Yeah, some old school ones.
Now, that would make me think that you have absolutely no regrets about your time at BCI.
Not true. not true. Good question. So yeah, I was always I grew up in Quincy. Quincy, all my friends played hockey, big hockey city, and I loved hockey growing up. And for whatever reason, you come in sometimes BC High, the athletics can kind of be intimidating. I remember even football, there was over 130 kids try out. Same thing for baseball. So the numbers were crazy, and you almost have some self-doubt, and you're thinking, oh, in my town league, I felt pretty good, but now it's BC High. So like I said, I did play the football and baseball, but that winter season, I always played hockey, and I never went out for hockey. And now 31 years old, and I still regret it. So a pretty common question that I get from parents is, my son loves X, Y, or Z sport, but I don't know if they'll make it at BCI. Try out. There's no harm in trying out. We welcome everybody to try out, and worst case you get cut, but you never have a regret. So definitely go out.
That's great advice. And Deacon and Ishan, maybe you could think about some advice that you might have for a prospective 7th grader or someone who's thinking about joining us in 8th grade. And while you're thinking about that, just Nicole, thanks for your great question. We have 7th grade hockey, and we also have a team for 8th grade. We're here with Mr. Connolly, our assistant director for athletics, and we're here with Deacon, who is a freshman, and Ishan, who is a sophomore. They both played 2-sport athletes in Arrupe, and they're joining us, giving us a little perspective on what it means to be an athlete here at BC High. So if you have any questions at all, please drop them into the comment section, and we'd love to be able to get to them. And stick around for 8 o'clock. We're going to have a few more guests to talk about athletics in our high school. So what do you think, Deacon? What advice, and it doesn't have to be focused on sports, what advice would you give to a prospective 7th grader?
I would probably just say, like, be comfortable being uncomfortable, basically. Like, just be open to growth and expand your horizons, I guess. Like, if you're not into something, like when I was a freshman, I did not know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I had no interest in it at all. And then by the end of the year, I could solve it in like 35 or 40 seconds just because I like went into a new club that like a kid I met said to do. So I just went in to do it. And I would, basically just do new things that you wouldn't think that you would ever do before, because you're going to like have bonds with people that you're never going to think, and you're going to meet new people that you're never going to think you're going to meet. So yeah, just do new things, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. How about for you, Ishan?
Yeah, I mean, Deacon pretty much touched it, but I'll just add on. Try new things. Just be engaged in the community, because even after school, there's a lot of stuff to do. Sports, co-curriculars. There's just a lot to do at BC High, and to be a part of the community. Like, there's so much to do, and it's just so welcoming and opening.
Awesome. So it's been great to be with you guys. We talked a little bit about all the different opportunities we have for 7th and 8th graders in our Arrupe division for sports. We have a question here from Ugo. The question is, Ishan, I was wondering about the race aspect of BC High sports are. So what is it, Ishan? I don't know if you can think of what it's been like for you to be a student here at BC High. What has it been? I'm not exactly sure if we could provide a little more context, Ugo, but or Mr. Conley or Deacon, if there's something that you'd say what it's kind of like, the diversity of being able to meet people from different perspectives here at BC High.
Yeah, I can go.
Sure.
Yeah, like BC High, like we celebrate like our diversity a lot. So like you get to like meet a lot of different people from like different backgrounds, different cities and towns here, and like that's like a good experience, like to understand like a different perspective from your own. So like I definitely like I've got to see like different people and like where they come from, and it's just been like a good overall experience for me.
Yeah, I think one of the things you notice that I've noticed right away was in our dining hall, you see the flags of every nation. And that represents a few things, certainly our global Jesuit network and our partnerships with different schools around the world, but also the diversity of the backgrounds of all of our different families. What was it like for you, Deacon, coming from Cohasset to meeting now, in 7th grade, people from around the city and from different towns and playing different sports, playing sports with folks from around this area?
So, Cohasset, I think, as everybody knows, isn't a very diverse town. There's almost like no diversity at my school. And coming here, just meeting new people from all different everybody and like I don't really know, like it was just pretty eye-opening because from where I come from, like everybody basically looks the same. And just coming here is like a good experience for me, just to meet new people with different backgrounds and where they come from.
That's great. Well, we're gonna start to wrap things up as we get ready for our high school program this evening, and just like to thank all of you guys. Mr. Conley, I know you were at the soccer game tonight and you were kind of thawing out, and but you found time to kind of set up your towel nicely in your office and be ready to have a nice background. And Ishan, thank you so much. It was great hearing from you and your perspective of being open to growth. That's one of our grad qualities. When Miss Hormy said, "Hey, why don't you give track a try?" That was really good. And then to be able to say, "Well, I played basketball for a while, and I'm going to give track a try." And then it's really neat to hear a student athlete talk about one of their coaches the way you talked about Mr. Quayle. So thank you so much I know you guys are busy these days, so thank you so much for making the time. And Deacon, thanks so much. It's great to hear how you formed friendships during your time through sports, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think I might write that on a Post-it note. And I'm glad to hear you're in the gym. And maybe we could just close with that. What are the options in terms of strength and conditioning for our guys, Mr. Conley?
So right now we kind of just with the numbers and everything, we're kind of limiting it to the high school. We have a new strength and conditioning coach, Chris Anderson, who's come in and he's doing a really nice job. But yeah, for the most part, it's mainly for the high school right now. I'm hoping to maybe open up more to the Arrupe. I know Deacon would have liked that, but open it up a little bit more to Arrupe and more students. And then hopefully someday we have a bigger facility that we can really do big things.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you, all of you, for for spending some time. And I know you told me, Ishan and Deacon, how much you've learned about time management. So I'm sorry for taking your time, but we know that the prospective families who are joining us this evening really appreciate it. So
I just want to say these two guys are rock stars. I mean, the answers they gave tonight, and they're way ahead of where I was. So
I know,
you guys are great guys.
I think we might see them at like a podium sometime in the future, with a Stephanie Pete, and
I'll still be here.
There were no comments. No comments. There wasn't anything like we're on to Cincinnati or anything. It was like you guys gave really good answers. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in school.
Thanks, Father Nolan.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was great. It was great to hear about our Arrupe division and sports in Arrupe.